Hi, good evening, everyone. It's Thursday, and it's time for another McDiaz Presents Who Are We session. And tonight, we have our businessmen who are very knowledgeable about setting up your own businesses, scaling them, franchising them, and getting into global trade. And so we'll find out more about that. And we'll also learn about their life experiences, and we'll have fun along the way. But tonight, we have Kuya Ed with us. Hi, Kuya Ed.
Hello, everybody! It's Thursday, ha? Hindi pa pala Friday.
Yes,
I miss
akala
you,
ko
Ate Nick.
Friday.
Parang ang tagal natin hindi nagkita.
Yes, and thank you so much for being with us tonight. I feel like matagal na talaga tayong hindi nagkita.
Iba yung nasa screen, hindi kita nakukurot eh.
Ganun. Yeah, and tonight, Kuya Ed, ito ang pinaka-paborito mong subject.
Ano, math?
ang pagnegosyo at paggawa ng
ng pera.
Ng pera.
Eh, mana lang ako sa iyo eh. Pero paborito ko talaga math.
Yes, and so since magaling ka sa math, tamang-tamang nandito ka kasi pwede mo akong tulungan, di ba?
Hindi ako tutulungan mo.
Kasi yung topic natin, di ba, it's about business, right? And scaling your businesses and everything we need to know about having your own business, right, Kuya Ed?
Basta legal yan, walang kasamang unggoy.
Monkey business. Yes, and of course it's very legal. But our first guest, Kuya Ed, ready ka na ba?
Yes, let's get it.
Yeah, kasi bigatin yung mga kasama natin dito.
Wow, naku, shy type ako pag bigatin eh.
Oo, ako rin eh. Parang na-overwhelm ako eh.
Basta ako, makikinig lang ako sa inyo. Bahala kayo dyan.
Yeah, kaya nga kailangan ko ng moral support mo eh. Kasi baka
kulang, nasa si Kuya Arvin, natutulog na naman. Kuya, paramdam ka naman dyan. Kahit man lang, yung air horn.
Yeah, kailangan ko ng moral support mo. Kasi bigatin talaga yung mga panauhin natin ngayong gabi. Di ba?
Pala mag-Tagalog, yan. Pwede.
Syempre. Kasi meron tayong mga nanonood na galing sa Pilipinas, especially on Kumu. We're on Kumu. So, yung mga taga-subaybay natin na taga-Kumu na sumusubaybay sa atin kada linggo. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat sa inyo.
Akala ko kantahan lang sa Kumu eh.
Oo, hindi, meron ding mga interview doon. And so at saka thank you so much for those people who are watching on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you so much. And we do have Wow, ang ganda. Oh my God, you're wearing it.
Naku,
Na
nakakalimutan, hindi na napansin, no?
bakit parang medyo kumupas?
Kumupas. Kasi iba yung lighting effect ko dito.
Tulad
Diba?
ng tulad ng beauty mo kumukupas, hindi
Huh?
ako lang. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, yung first guest natin talagang super bigatin. Oh my goodness. So
Ninong ko
our
yan,
first
ninong.
ninong, may bago tayong ninong dito. So our first guest is no other than Fran Guru himself, Mr. Amando Boots Bartolome, the president and founder of GMB Franchise Developers, and he is also known as the franchise guru, also known aka Fran Guru. And so you'll find him on all his social media handles. He is called Fran Guru, and he was the chairman emeritus of the Association of Filipino Franchisers Incorporated, and he is one of the angelpreneurs of Go Negosyo. And so a little bit about his business. GMB Franchise Developers launched in 1993 as a pioneer Filipino-owned company that specializes in helping people develop their businesses, ranging from the formulation of franchise development services to scaling businesses. And they have given over 800 seminars around the world. And he is actually by country, right? So he travels from the US to the Philippines back and forth, helping businesses franchise their companies. Yan. So let's all welcome Mr. Boots Bartolome. Everybody, those people who are watching, hashtag Fran Guru.
Fran Guru.
Hello.
Hey, good evening there. Good morning
Good
here.
morning to
Friday
you.
the 13th.
Good morning, Sir Boots.
Oo.
Yes,
Ganda
Sir
dito sa amin
Boots.
ngayon, Friday the 13th. Diyan
Oo
sa
nga
inyo,
pala,
Thursday
no?
pa lang.
Swerte yan.
So, hey, thanks for guesting me and really a pleasure. And if I can be of help to mga kababayan natin, why not? Go, go, go.
Yes.
Yes, go, go, go. And yeah, Mr. Boots and I have been chatting for a long time now. Yeah, and it's really good to see you in person virtually. Yes. Tsaka kasi, syempre, di ba, madaling araw, gising ako. Siya lang yung gising kasi nasa Pilipinas siya.
Ay, nagugulat ako pagising ko sa umaga. Like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, so yun yung
4 hours ago.
yung mga nakakahalubilo ko online, kagaya ni Boots, kasi gising siya madaling araw. Kasi umagang-umaga sa Pilipinas. Di ba po?
Right. Lalong-lalo na dito, exciting ang Pilipinas. Nako.
Kaya nga orphan in the Philippines eh.
Oo nga, maagang matulog ang mga tao dahil alas 8 pa lang, huwag kang lalabas at huhulihin ka. Okay, may curfew tayo dito, may curfew. Okay.
Ayan, narinig nyo mga kababayan.
Naka-lockdown sila, di ba?
But enjoy naman ang lockdown kasi may bonding, di ba? May family bonding.
Yun.
Di ba? Tsaka marami kang magagawa. Di ba? Lalo na watching Mick live. Lalo. Talagang go.
Magbabakasyon po ako, baka pwede kayo maging co-host ni Ate Mick.
Walang problema yan.
Yan. So, Mr. Boots, ikwento niyo po sa amin, kasi meron po ako nabasang article nung isang araw, kung paano kayo nag-umpisa sa pag-franchise. May nakita akong picture nung talagang gwapong-gwapo talaga kayo nun eh.
Alam mo, nung araw,
gwapo pa rin hanggang ngayon.
Hindi pa uso yung
pero batang-bata talaga siya dati.
Hindi pa uso yung digital. Yun yung mga kodak-kodakan. Di ba? Yun yung mga nakuha ko sa baol ko. Sabi ko, wow, ang ganda itong picture na ito. Sino ito? Yung pala yung mga kabataan ko nung ako yung nag-flip ng hamburger dyan sa Los Angeles, sa Jack in the Box.
Sample.
Oo, Philip, ang dami kong paso dito. I used to work with Jack in the Box at Fairfax, near Farmers Market.
Okay.
Oo, alam mo 'yon.
Alam ko rin yun.
Tapos maganda kasi ang dami kong natutunang experiences, like how to handle a grill, ordering tacos. Naku, grabe na ang nakakatakam. But ang dami kong learnings kasi working with different cultures at the same time earning your way up plus at the same time experiencing what business is all about, no? So maganda. Ako hindi ako nagsisisi sa ganon.
Mhm.
And ano po yung turning point na nakapag na-apply nyo yung kung ano yung natutunan nyo sa Jack in the Box? Ano po yung turning point na nakapagpalago kayo ng business at saka nakatulong kayo sa ibang mga tao upang palaguin ang kanilang negosyo?
Well, actually,
Tagalog na Tagalog yun, ha?
Ayos, sige, tuloy lang.
Mukhang purong-purong Tagalog eh.
Sarap
Sige, kung
pakinggan.
Tagalog siya. Yung mga nanonood na ng Kumu, magkumu-kumu. Okay. Yung mga aking natutunan doon ay paano ba maging entrepreneur, 'di ba? Kasi maraming mga gusto magnegosyo pero yung iba takot.
Yes.
Pero pag ninegosyo pala, hindi ka dapat matakot. You don't have to fear. There is fear, but you have to overcome that, no? And one of the things as a business mentor now, I'm a mentor to a lot of entrepreneurs, is that age doesn't matter. I've had
Yun.
a client wherein 20 years old na ngayon ay 45 billion peso guy.
Wow.
38 years old siya, Kuya Ed. Sabi ko nga talagang hindi swerte yung pagtitiyaga kasi sa akin no pain no gain.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter, like for example, ang dami niyang challenges sa buhay. In every life of a man, there's always something obstacle in front, no? And this guy really faced a lot of obstacles. But he managed to persist. No? He also wanted to quit. So ganun ang nakikita ko sa mga entrepreneur, yung bang persistent, focus, and look, if he quit, he would have been a loser, no, and will be guilty. But look at the guy. I mean, imagine mo, yung Big J, binili siya, yung kanyang negosyo. Kalaya mo yun. Tapos ngayon kilalang-kilala na siya ng buong mundo. Mahirap na nga lang makausap dahil ewan ko kung nagbibilang pa rin ng pera. Yun yung mga exciting stories kasi nakakatuwa itong aking experience dahil natatranslate ko sa mga entrepreneur na gusto magpatulong ng negosyo at paano lumago. Kasi sa akin kung hindi ako dumaan doon, if I did not pass to that experience, I'll just be talking about, from nothing. And I have to get the feeling, I have to sympathize. So, tsaka word of mouth. I think the reputation is very important, Kuya Ed. Kagaya ni Mick, kumakalat ang reputation niya. I mean, word of mouth, SoCal, yung kanyang page. Ang daming, nowadays, it's not your who you are, but what you are and how people can really trust you. So, very important ngayon. Word of mouth plus being helpful to others, yung paying it forward, collaboration.
Yes. And speaking of trust and being of help to other people, our next guest in this panel is Mr. ELNAR, and he heads the Philippine Trade and Investment Center in LA, which is an attached agency to the Philippine Consulate, and they're mandated to promote exports from the Philippines and encourage investments into the country. So marami siyang experience, and he was assigned to Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok, and Dubai before he came to LA. And let's all welcome ELNAR.
Yes.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Mick.
Hi, it's good
good
to
morning.
see you again.
Good morning sa ating mga kababayan sa Pilipinas, and good evening from the US.
Good evening.
Kumusta po kayo dyan?
Okay naman
sa
po.
Las Vegas.
Bling.
Nandito ako ngayon actually for work. May sinusuportahan po tayong Philippine company na sumali sa trade show. So, after 1.5 years, na hindi natin nagagawa yung in-person events, this is the first time that we travel to Las Vegas to do this trade show. So medyo nakakapanibago after the start of the pandemic. Pero may mga measures naman po, and I think this would be good to follow, like required po na lahat ng mga attendees are vaccinated and they have to show proof that they are vaccinated. So I think this is a good measure from the organizers, as well as wearing masks all the time.
Mhm.
So I think we're on our way to going back to the previous normal.
And can you tell us a little bit po about how do businesses in the Philippines, or how do we make natural products from the Philippines into byproducts, and how do we distribute them around the world? Because this, what we're really trying to do is trying to put the Philippines on the map, right, around the world,
Yes.
with our Philippine products, with businesses that are Philippine or Filipino owned, right, Mr. Boots. Um, and so there is like one underlying theme in our panel tonight, and that's really about putting the Philippines and putting Filipinos and Filipino Americans on the map and supporting them along the way, right, Eric?
Yes.
So how does one actually get into the world of global trade, or promoting products from the Philippines?
Yeah, I'll speak from experience in terms of particular sector, no, the franchising sector. So, as we know, there are popular brands from the Philippines like Jollibee, Maxis Group, and Jollibee also has a food group which includes Mang Inasal, Red Ribbon, Chowking. So I think these are our ambassadors, as I would say, brand ambassadors that follow wherever there are concentrations of Filipinos all over the world. So from my experience, and then in working with also with Sir Boots Bartolome, we first met actually in Dubai. If you would remember Sir Boots, I think this
Yeah.
is at least maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and he was our speaker promoting franchising among our Filipinos in Dubai. So I think it should always be a public partnership. We at the government are here to support you in terms of your due diligence, in terms of checking, making sure that these franchises are not maybe um, moonlight. I would say legit franchises. We have to make sure that these are legit franchises, and one way to test that is that if these franchises are part of a bigger group, like the Association of Filipino Franchisors Incorporated. There's also the Philippine Franchise Association. So there's a number of uh, organizations and associations that self censor or monitor their members to make sure that these are all legitimate companies. So and then it follows that Filipino, once we introduce to them Filipino food and Filipino culture, um, then it follows some of our Filipino products become also popular. For example, yung mga food products like yung mga hot dogs, yung red hot dogs natin, which are very unique, I would say.
Mhm.
It follows kasi they get exposed, for example, to the spaghetti in Jollibee that has this yung mga red hot dog na ganyan, di ba? So I think it's soft. Siguro just winding down. My point is it's soft power. They call it soft power in terms of projecting our culture and showing the good part of our culture, the best part of our culture, and in turn, they would associate products from the Philippines as good quality, as very good products, as products that they would want to try. And then, for example, here in the US, we have around 4 million Filipino Americans, But what if we try to penetrate the mainstream market? That's 330 million
Oh, wow.
population. So dapat po talaga we always aim for the mainstream market, not only our Filipinos.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and speaking of Philippine products, di ba Kuya Ed, alam na alam natin yan kasi marami tayong kilalang naghahanap ng ube powder, ng
Yan.
kung ano-anong klaseng mga ingredients kasi marami tayong kilalang gumagawa ng pagkain. Nagluluto ng pagkain, di ba Kuya Ed? Favorite topic natin yan, pagkain. Pero, syempre, to cook food, 'di ba? Pag nagluto ka ng pagkain, kailangan mo ng mga ingredients, 'di ba? And ang susunod natin na panauhin sa ating programa ngayong gabi ay si Ferdinand Soriano. So Ferdinand Soriano is um, a logistic management specialist, and he specializes in product sourcing, and he creates awareness and opportunities for Philippine-made products and services in the U.S. market and beyond. And he loves the spirit of collaboration for the sake of the greater good and the bigger picture. And that's right, because that's what we were talking about earlier, right? It's really trying to hit the mainstream market and trying to put the Philippines and Filipinos, Filipino Americans on the map and supporting them along the way. So let's all welcome Mr. Ferdinand Soriano. Hi,
Yeah.
Ferdinand.
Yun.
Hi,
How
Mick.
are you
Kuya Ed,
doing?
Boots, Eric, kumusta?
Yes.
First, before I say anything that comes out of this mouth, I just want to commend you because you're awesome. You know, I mean, you do so much for the community already because of what even Boots was saying. You know, word of mouth, everybody knows about Mick Diaz and all the different things that you're doing, helping different categories of the Filipino community. So kudos to you. That's for first, the first thing I wanted to say. And then thank you for
Thank you so much.
having me here on the show and then saying hello to all my friends here.
Yes,
I don't know Kuya Ed yet, but now I'm glad, and he brings a lot of flavor to the show.
yes, and so Ferdinand has been one of those people who first reached out to me regarding a video that I have no idea about. But yes, it's been a while, and yes, we have chatted several times. And like I was saying earlier, siya yung mga nakakausap ko pag tulog na lahat ng tao. Right? Siya
Yeah.
yung yung isa siya doon sa mga nakaka-chat ko pag halos tulog na lahat ng mga tao. But anyway, yeah, so speaking, we're hearing cracking sounds.
Yeah,
Do you know where that is
Sir
coming
Ferdinand.
from?
I have quite.
Kay Sir Ferdinand, yung audio niya.
Is it me?
Yeah, pagpasok nyo, ganun eh.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right.
I don't know why. That's
There must be a
Yes.
Are you having a chicharon?
Let's see if I
Something
can-
like that?
Hold my phone, Mick.
Ang sarap ng
Someone's-
chicharon.
Someone's eating chicharon somewhere there next to you. ang lakas,
No,
ang
I
lakas
might have
nun.
to get out.
Okay. All right, and we'll be right here when you come back after
Let me
2
see if I can
seconds.
get onto my computer, okay? Because it's still crackling.
Yes, it is.
What's that?
Yes.
Parang nagpiprito ng chicharong bulaklak eh.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
Parang gutom na tayong lahat.
Yes.
Yes.
Midnight snack yan sa inyo.
Yes.
Let me
And so-
try to see if I can log on to another computer while you do
Okay.
that, okay?
All right. Okay. And so going back to the topic of food, right? I mean, that's one easy example or one easy thing that everyone can wrap their head around, right? Like franchising a food business and bringing, Philippine products like raw materials or byproducts of raw materials, like, what we were saying kanina, di ba, Kuya Ed, yung, like, let's say, ube powder. Maraming naghahanap ng ube powder kasi lahat ng klaseng ube pandesal, ube cake, lahat ng klaseng ube, 'di ba? Natikman na natin, kuya, 'di ba? Or
Ikaw
baka ako
lang,
lang.
ako ewan ko, hindi ko pa natitikman lahat eh.
Yes, and so that's something that we want to learn more of. Paano yun ginagawa? Where do we start, like for people who are just starting their own business? Kasi marami tayong mga kababayan dito sa States na nawalan ng trabaho. So during the pandemic, they resorted to baking and cooking their own food at home and selling them in caravans and pop-ups. And a number of them are still doing that. And now, as things are slowly opening back up, right here in the U.S., a lot of our kababayans are thinking of scaling their businesses and legitimizing their businesses. So how do and a lot of them, need like ingredients that come from the Philippines only, especially like ube. And a lot of them, want to get into franchising other businesses as well, the existing businesses, right? And so
Yeah.
like that question is twofold. So I guess like the first question is for Eric, like how does one even start? Where do they begin?
Yes. So if one has a product in mind, for example, ube powder or ube derivatives, they could approach our office. I would really share our contact details after this, and we can look for suppliers or exporters of these products from the Philippines. So basically, our office is also a business matching um, portal or venue. We can match exporters from the Philippines and with importers here in the US. There are no real minimum order quantities. We can work with small businesses. We could help you consolidate orders. For example, we do this for coffee. There are a number of coffee shops, Filipino-owned coffee shops here in the Southern California that wants to use, for example, barako, kapeng barako from the Philippines. So we help consolidate orders in order for these products to be able to come in. Kahit mga samples din na nakatulong din po tayo. We can help with samples, look for suppliers and then get their samples so that the importer or the buyer here in the US can try
Mm-hmm.
first before they can before they order a lot more. So
Mm-hmm.
use our office as a resource for this. Once you have products in mind, let us know so that we could help look for suppliers for you.
Yes, that is something that a lot of people here, especially the people we know in LA, could definitely benefit from. Kasi marami talagang naghahanap ng ingredients and nagpapaship galing sa Pilipinas, di ba po? And
Yes.
so yung po sinasabi ni yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina about franchising, like we know like the big J or one of those companies like smaller companies or those companies that belong to an umbrella of a bigger company. Like how does one start with that? Kasi especially dun sa SoCal Pinoy's Facebook group, marami tayong nakikitang mga advertisements ng mga tao taga Pilipinas na naghahanap ng mga franchisees or gustong mag-franchise. And a lot of us don't really know how to start or where to go or who to ask about, how to start a franchise and whether or not that, franchising from one of those companies is, a legitimate decision that they have to make. So,
Uh,
Mr. Boots.
Yeah, I think basically, well, uh, one of the things na nakikita ko ngayon, the Filipinos are now shining in terms of going into business. There are a lot of self-confident people right now. Kasi alam mo, nung araw kasi, nung nakikita ko, pag sinabing, I want to go to the US, from the Philippines to the US, ayoko dyan kasi mahirap. But I think because of the role of like Sir Eric, the trade, they're helping patch up and that's one thing. You link with the government, the private government partnership, which is very, very important in order to be guided. Now another thing, I'd like to let you know that there are also overseas Filipinos, like in the US right now. There's somebody who is called Clean and Green. She's a Filipina based in San Francisco, and you wouldn't believe it. This is something that I'd like to share with you. It's a breakthrough because for the longest time, maraming mga Pilipinong nasa overseas na nagsasabing, I want to get a franchise for my kamag-anak in the Philippines so that I will help them in business rather than keep on sending money, sending balikbayan, hindi ba? Yung mga ganong
Yeah.
nagiging problema eh. Kasi you keep buying in Costco and sending the balikbayan by Forex and that's it. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. But you know, this lady is in the US and her sister in Lipa work together. They're into deep cleaning services.
Mhm.
And nagpa-franchise sila from yung nag-iinvest ay kamag-anak sa Amerika at yung nagpapatakbo ay yung kamag-anak rin nila sa Pilipinas.
Right.
Maniwala ka, for the last 2 months after they launch, they have now 4 franchisees. In other words, para bang sabi ko, wow, this is a great model because instead of sending money, you are now teaching them how to fish rather than giving them fish, right?
Correct.
Which is very good model. Now, one thing that I'd like to share with you, in the Philippines, you have to be careful. And that's the reason why Sir Eric was mentioning the associations, because in the Philippines, we don't have any franchise laws.
Yeah.
Okay? Unlike sa US, hindi ka pwedeng mag-announce na nagpa-franchise ka kasi may mga laws dyan. May mga complete disclosure document. Okay? And this is something that I always tell a lot of overseas Filipinos. You only start a business, but you can also bring your business elsewhere. Okay? It's not from the Philippines to the US, which is like Potato Corner. Potato Corner, ang ganda nito eh. Kasi when we brought Potato Corner to the US, and specifically Los Angeles, maraming mga hindi naniwala. You know, yung bang Kuya Ed, yung bang, alam mo, sinabihan pa kami, ano ba ibibenta nyo? Ice to the Eskimos. Kasi ang dami nga ninyong French fries dyan, no? Para bang you can eat French fries a whole day. But sabi namin, di ho, flavored fries. But look, how many stores do you have right now? Sir Eric, it's about 37 12 states. In 12 states, 12
Oh,
states.
wow.
And 37 stores, not kiosks, 37 stores. My brother who's in Texas, a doctor, was so skeptic also. Sabi niya, Kuya, anong gagawin niyang potato corner niyan? French fries lang yan eh. Sabi ko, wait, there is also a business system, there's a confidence. And guess what? Nagulat siya. Sabi niya, imagine, here in Dallas, I saw a potato corner. Sabi ko, kita mo, wala kang paniwala sa Pilipino. Malakas ang Pilipino. Di ba?
Favorite
Kuya Ed, di ba yung
eh. No.
resilient tayo eh. I think that's one of the things, character trait ng mga entrepreneurs. But do not be impulsive. Kasi one of the things, you work, you collaborate. Di ba? Yung kagaya nun, sinasabi ni Ferdinand. And then you work with kila Sir Eric, no? Sa DTI, trade office, work with the Philippine embassy. Kasi marami yan eh. Like, maganda nga yung office nila, Sir Eric, eh, meron pang conference room. Nandiyan pa ba yung conference room nyo dyan na pwede kayo mag-meet ng client tsaka ano, ganun pa?
Yes, sir.
Oh, kita mo, ang ganda. So, I think basically, now is the time. Do not procrastinate. And I keep telling people, now is the time. If you have an idea, put it in action. Do not start and dream big, but you are not acting on it, no? Kasi ngayon pa lang nakakatawa. Sabi ko nga sa aking wife, Linda, mukhang marami tayong dadalhin sa Amerika ngayon, no? Na mga entrepreneurs, no? Kasi nandito na eh. Mukhang they're all gung-ho. Hindi kami na-apektuhan dito because of pandemic eh. Kasi this pandemic is already here eh. In other words, we have to accept, we have to embrace change, no? Di ba? Para bang kung sasabihin mo ayoko, takot ako lumabas, you have to take precaution, no? But the business must go on. Yan ang importante doon. So, para kung sinasabi nga sa mga kababayan natin, kagaya nung may nakita ko dyan sa San Francisco ata or sa LA, nag-iihaw ng fishball. Alam mo, sa isang tent lang siya at na-feature siya sa ABS. So, ang ganda. Ayan na si Ferdinand. Ayan, yung mga ingredients natin.
Ayan.
Can you hear me okay? Is this good?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're loud and clear.
You
Great.
are loud and clear.
I'll just
Yes.
rather be loud. I don't want to be clear.
Yes. So clarity
what-
is one of those things that we want, right? So so kanina we were talking about like how it's the pandemic and a lot of people lost their jobs um and found a new way to support themselves and became very creative in terms of what they can do to support their families. And a lot of them, like a lot of the people that Kuya Ed and I know specifically, went into cooking and baking goods, right? And we were talking about finding the ingredients, and we know a lot of our kababayans naghahanap sila ng mga ingredients. Kunyari gusto nila ng ube pandesal or ube cake, or like some people were looking for ube extract. And where do we find those, right? And especially a lot of them come from the Philippines, right? I mean,
Right.
you don't find them here. We don't have a lot of wholesalers that we know of, right? And so the question is, how can our fellow kababayans here in LA or in the US find those ingredients that they need to make, let's say, ube pandesal, or one of those one of our favorite Pinoy desserts or Pinoy dishes.
Mhm. Well, I think when it comes to the ingredients, I mean, I could give you perspective from me, right? Like how I do that. To me, it's because I work with people like Boots, and I work with people like Eric, and because of social media, you're able to find different things, like on Facebook, of different association of farmers that are growing certain things, because there's different levels of ingredients in terms of how you want to find them. You can find them as a fruit, you can find them as a powder. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I want the audience to know is that right now, Philippines is an amazing place in terms of agribusiness, and that's the thing that I'm actually trying to latch onto and embrace. Eric might have already talked to you about that, but in regards to the application of what I've learned, is that you really have to work with the Department of Agriculture if you want to do that, because everybody in the Philippines has different ways of coming up with that product. If you're looking for ingredients, there are manufacturers in the Philippines that you could easily just go on Facebook. I may be shooting my own foot here in terms of telling you all of this, but to me, I'm all about trying to get people to understand that it's easy to source products in the Philippines. You just have to know how to talk to them, who to trust, that kind of thing, because everybody's very excited to try to promote Philippine ingredients, not just like me, like the ube, like you were talking about, Mick, calamansi, dalandan, everything. Right now, I'm currently working with a supplier that supplies all of that, and it's not just for food. It's actually also amazing for nutritional supplements, right? Because a lot of people don't realize the different stuff in the Philippines. There's a lot of herbal ingredients that could be used here for nutritional supplements.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I know I've been exposed to people who sell moringa as nutritional supplements, right? And yeah, like ingredients for some healthy drinks,
Yeah,
right?
I
That
would
come
love
from
that,
the
but
Philippines.
I would love to see ube smoothie. I mean, really ube smoothie, not little extracts that I think a lot of the bakers are using here, chefs, right? But because I don't think they're truly using the ube, the true ube, the heritage ube. But I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that if people like that, they could really discover something amazing. But what I'd like to really do is be more involved in how to empower entrepreneurs here, the Philams, to create businesses made out of Philippine, that are derived or based on Philippine-made products or grown products. That's what I want to do. But I also want to help the Philippine manufacturers, because there's two ways. It's not a one-way street.
Yes,
If we can get more Filipinos to do that here, that would be amazing. Just like what you're doing, you're creating awareness, Mick.
And that is so awesome, because a lot of times we're just not informed, or we're not educated enough. A lot of us just started during the pandemic, right? And where do we find the resources, or who do we contact? You know, like
there really isn't any place that's amazing that just does that. That's why both of the guests that we have today, like Sibuts, uh, he's just good at spreading the word. Eric is very helpful in trying to pinpoint you to where these products are. But there, if you really dig deep, Mick, there really isn't one. There really isn't one place. You could tell me Seafood City, Island Pacific, but there really isn't one that's really focused on creating the true awareness of Philippine ingredients. And once that occurs, the Philippines will be amazing to be able to do that.
yes, and that's another idea for another entrepreneur, right? Maybe the
Yes.
5 of us can join together. Right?
Vote in.
Let's vote in. Yes, there's 5 of us. That's perfect. Vote is 5.
But you know, Tama, I think that's true what Ferdinand's saying. You know, there's a need to centralize so that a lot of people can see and order from a centralized and with sustainable quality. Kasi I think the challenge that we have here is that how do I find the supplier? How do I find when you go for supplier? A question is, can they supply me X number of containers? A lot of people right now here in the Philippines, we are challenging them. Okay, you want to start a business, but if a supplier from the US orders you X number of containers, then they'll say, I cannot. Teka, hindi pwede yon. Pag nagnegosyo ka, you must be open to opportunities, di ba? So hindi mo sabihin, I cannot sustain mga 2 containers na kasi wala pa kaming kanong capacity. But the government is doing something, you know. Like for example, di ba, the OST is having equipments, DTI is helping them. Di ba, Eric? Marami tayong ganon. Marami tayong reach out to entrepreneurs. Hindi na
Yes, sir.
yung parokya lang isip, di ba? Ganon.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric. Sige, you go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, aside from promotion, the DTI also helps in the production side. So we help the Department of Agriculture and the DOST as well, the Department of Science and Technology. For the DTI, one particular project that I would want to mention is the Shared Services Facilities program.
Yes.
So, for example, there's a cooperative of farmers, and they have, for example, they farm pineapple, and they decide that in order to bring their products to the market, they would want to have a canning facility in their place. So they could write the DTI, particularly the DTI provincial office or the regional office covering them, and then this facility can be made available for them so that all the farmers can share using this facility and have their products reach even the export market. So may mga ginagawa naman po ang gobyerno for this. And
Nick,
yun, tulong-tulong po tayo to help our farmers.
I want to add something to what Eric said just really quick. If this is my last comment, this is fine, right? But I don't want to leave the show without kind of putting all of this together. If you think about it, look at it this way, Mick. This is the most amazing time for Philippines, period. Even though technically, obviously there's some challenges from what's happening with COVID, but take that away to a certain degree. You've got somebody who just won an Olympic gold medal, right? Somebody who is right now, I actually saw on Netflix today. I just noticed this. It's called Tres. It's about Trece. Okay, I just discovered this. Okay, I just discovered this, and then other things from celebrity and politician. So now you're bringing Philippine brand to a certain level now. So anything that you want to bring across, whether you're uplifting the Philippine agriculture, agribusiness, or encouraging people here to do that, this is the best time, because now you're creating all of this sort of a brand that, up and coming, rising, whatever you want to describe the Philippines right now. So anything from that perspective, this is the best time to do that, whether you want to create a business from Philippine ingredients or anything Philippine-made grown, because the culture is just being being mainstream as we speak. So to me, that's amazing, and to be able to do that. So anytime there's a Filipino right there watching this, entrepreneur, I think any product would be amazing. You just have to figure out how to market that product and create value, and not show it like a sari, like a cheap kind of a presentation. Always go for the professionalism, for the class, and for the quality. I'll leave it with that. If I don't say anything else,
yes, that is.
we just want to leave that there.
But
That is so true.
but Mick, if I may add also, like for example, even the branding now, the government has been helping even the graphic designs of labels. Ako, nagugulat ako, minsan nakikita ko, sabi ko, ha? Oh, made in the Philippines. Fantastic. Hindi na kagaya nung araw na ang hirap maghanap ng graphic designer. Maraming assistance eh. So really, all you have to do is, if you have a business, then you can start doing it, provide the content, and a lot of people will help. Di ba? Daming tutulong. So, start
And
with
this
that.
is an
Like yung
awesome time
bibingka,
for
di ba?
us. Yes.
Oo, yung mga bibingka, ang dami
And
nagtatakaw ng bibingka, di ba? Now, it's available even in the US. Frozen bibingka, di ba, Eric? Meron na tayong frozen bibingka.
tsaka
Yes.
meron na tayong kasava, di ba? Meron tayong,
Right.
I think I saw it on Ferdinand's website. I was looking through all the products last night.
Yeah.
Yes, and
it's all there.
yes, and you know, something that we can learn from Boots is what Ferdinand was referring to. So the branding, the messaging, the whole packaging of, you know, how we market ourselves and our businesses. And so for Boots, here's what one thing that I'd like to learn from you. Like, how do we package it all together, since you're an expert at creating businesses and scaling them and making them grow and actually expanding them and multiplying, you know, like gremlins, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I mean, but you know,
We were-
Potato Corner is a very good
Yeah.
example of how, you know, it expanded in a short amount of time. So how do you
Yeah.
do that?
Well, we work with our Magic 8 block foundation. We call it horizontal block foundation. We always say, like, for example, meron ka negosyo, di ba? You have a business. We work on the model. Is that business going to survive? Is that business going to be sustainable? Okay. And how do we duplicate that? Because we don't want to duplicate and later on it will fade. No, we want it to really be consistent. Like Potato Corner, when we handled them in 1997 here in the Philippines locally, uh, we started with what is really the cornerstone. We're not selling potato fries. No, we're selling a system. So we started analyzing what are the pros and cons. Okay, and then the next is the investment, the costings. For example, if you have a product costing, you have to make sure that you have the enough supplier. Like for example, what Ferdinand is saying, you have suppliers that you can tap other than your main supplier. Your product costings, kasi very important yan. You're not selling just for charity. You have to make a profit out of it. Then later on, the investment. And then how do you transfer now your technology to somebody who wants this technology beyond the scope of in the Philippines, no? So, ganun ang step by step. Para bang we're creating a stairway. Kasi sabi ko, I always tell people, don't jump the gun immediately. Start small, dream big, but with small baby steps. And like for example, in San Diego now, we have this famous waffle witch. We have to change the name because here in the Philippines, it's known as famous Belgian waffle. And in the US, we have to be truth in advertising, di ba? Belgian waffle in the US is actually thick. But this famous Belgian waffle here in the Philippines is thin.
Right.
So we have to change. But the whole concept is there, the same. And really, nakakatuwa because all the ingredients are coming from the Philippines. Even the peanut butter, Kuya
Oh,
Ed.
wow.
Wow.
Pati peanut butter. So sabi namin, wow, kala namin hindi pwede kasi peanut butter, Eric, hindi ba pwede yan? Pero again,
Yes.
It's really a blessing, no? Kaya nakakatuwa. Like, waxing salon. Kita mo naman yan. Siguro kilalang-kilala nyo na yan. The Lay Bear Waxing
Yeah.
Salon.
Yes.
Si Fiona.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I know
Who would
her.
ever say that Fiona would be successful here in the Philippines? So sabi ko, parating yung concept is make sure your concept is going to be global. Di ba? Local to global. Yan ang sinasabi ni Ferdinand. Yan, local to global. Di ba? So, kita mo ngayon, ilan na yan? 3 branch na ata yan sa LA eh. No? Yung mga nasa Dubai, yan, yung mga pinaghirapan namin ni Eric sa Dubai. Ngayon, nagfo-flourish na. Di ba? So, I think the basic step is start with the baby step. And then, are you committed to it? You have to be committed, di ba? Kasi you cannot grow the baby without an automation. Kasi yan ang parati ko sinasabi. When you start growing, make sure you're committed all the way. Di ba? Yung, walang susuko, Ganon. So, nakakatuwa kasi like, Potato Corner now has over 1,100 branches worldwide.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
They're
My
in
gosh.
Vietnam, they're in Cambodia. Akalain mo patatas lang yan, Kuya Ed. Eh, sasabihin ko, patatas nga, pero may
Lang,
system. Di ba? O, gano'n. Proud talaga tayo. Nakakatuwa. No? Pag nakakita ka ng Pilipino na concept na lumalaki na lumalaki. But it's a team effort eh. It's not somebody just the owner. It's a team collaboration.
Yes. And so going back to how all of you started with global sourcing, foreign trade, franchising, how did each of you get into what you're doing now? I mean, what was the turning point, or was there a cathartic moment in your life that made you want to get into business and entrepreneurship in the first place?
Sino mauna according to age?
According to age.
Sasabihin ko sana, pero ayoko
Mag-aaminan na ba
sabihin
tayo dito?
Aminan.
Seniority?
Seniority.
Eric, ikaw na.
Sige, sir. For me, I'm not in business, but I try my best to help entrepreneurs and business people do business now wherever I am, especially Filipinos. Actually, I started in government. After graduating from college, I started with government sa TESDA po, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. And then, after 2 years, nag-move po ako sa private sector, market research. Naramdaman ko po kung paano ang hirap sa private sector. Kung paano bawat sentimo ay talagang susulitin. and in the end, medyo hindi rin siya fulfilling kasi nga, you are already reaching maybe the stockholders or the shareholders, di ba? So I went back to government and I stayed on. I'm in government, I think, for a total of more than 20 years now. And I find, government work to be fulfilling. At the end of the day, whenever I help Filipino-American or Filipino businesses, abroad, I feel, fulfilled. And I know that it will redound to jobs in the Philippines, to, food on the table for our kababayans there. So I always feel emotional relating this. Kasi my father is also a career government officer. I think I shared this with Sir Boots before in our interview. So my father stayed in government for more than 40 years. So I hope to do the same. So yun po, that's how I started, and that's, I think, where it would also end. Sa government service.
Yan ang tunay na gobyerno, government servant.
Yes, very dedicated. The dedication.
Bilib ako kay Eric. Alam mo si Eric, nung umalis siya sa Dubai, ang daming umiyak. Ang dami yung umiyak.
Was it tears of joy? Was it tears of joy?
Tinawin nyo maraming umiyak o pinaiyak.
No comment.
No comment.
But si Eric kasi, he tries to go out of his way if he can. No? Kaya nga, wherever he goes, talagang yung Dubai, UAE, nako, ang dami talagang nag-flood ng tears. Okay? Parang si Conjen, di ba, Eric? Si Conjen, ma-assign na sa iba. Yun, si Conjen, marami rin hindi pinapaiyak. Maraming iiyak din.
Opo.
Marami pang iiyak.
Right. So, wag kang aalis yan sa LA, ha? Baka umiyak si Mick at si Kuya Ed.
And Ferdinand, so how did you get into entrepreneurship?
Mine was relatively simple, Mick. I was in financial services and worked for Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo. And in 2013, somebody mentored me in the logistics world, the customs broker. And also, I was inspired by my father because my father did this thing, trying to do trade back in the 80s. And I laugh at every time he tells me stories of what he used to do, because a lot of the things that he did could have been easier now if he would have just tried it today because of all the technology. But I went into it because I wanted to do something different. And I sort of had the same sentiment as Eric, because not to say anything except that I always had this feeling of underdog, right? The spirit of trying to uplift, people, or just helping people in general. But it was more so I wanted to do something different, and maybe it involved travel. So that was back in 2013. And then we were trying to help. When we first did our project, the first thing that we did was we were trying to bring products from Pangasinan. And there was a trade fair in Artesia, a street fair, and we were able to bring these people. I mean, the businesses. There are like 5 or 7 businesses from the Philippines, from the province of Pangasinan, from Lingayen. I forget the other 2 other areas, but it was that was fulfilling. So I sort of want to piggyback on what Eric said. That was nice for me. And then as we continue to learn, and I continue to develop a lot of the things I'm doing, and it was because of the help of the government also. There was very helpful for me. But again, I think my strength is really lies in knowing this market and trying to, like what you're doing, Mick, trying to bridge the two. And then you asked earlier, how do you help people grow? That's how you help people grow. You try to work with other people. That's why I always lead with the word collaboration at the end of the day. So to me, that fulfills why I do what I do, because again, with what you're doing, and Eric can attest to this, it's a lot of collaboration. You have to put your head down a little bit and be humble and try to understand that you can't do this all by yourself if you're going to do something, unique like this.
That is so true. And that's something that we can all learn from as we try to uplift, each other, right, Ferdinand?
Mm-hmm.
And so, with Boots, tell us a little bit about your story. We know a little bit. We know that you used to work at Jack in the Box, and that's where you learned how to, work through an assembly line and work through all the operations side of it. But let's go way before that. So, was there anyone in your family, like just like Eric and Ferdinand? Was there
Well,
anyone in your family that
one
you
of the
looked
things,
up to?
yeah, one of the things I look up to is that I grew without a father, because my father died when I was 6 months inside the womb of my mom. They were just 7 months married. And so I grew as a spoiled brat in my grandparents' place in Quezon City. And really, but it turned out it turned out for the better, because I saw my grandfather, who gave up his being a lawyer, because he simply wanted to become an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur who started from scratch. Like, he would buy used bottles, the bottles, wash them, and then bring up to Baguio for the strawberry people to put up. He would travel by himself, carrying all these clean bottles by cartons, and put it on top of the bus, like pantranco, di ba? So, and
Pantranco.
pagbalik naman niya, he would buy the bamboo, yung walis tambo, and
Mm-hmm.
we would assemble it in our house, and now say, this Baguio walis, broom from Baguio, and yet only it was assembled in Quezon City. Tsaka hindi siya nahiya. I mean, there was a time he brought me to Plaza Miranda, Kuya Ed. Plaza Miranda, not to rally, ha, but yeah, to sell flowers. To sell flowers right there at Plaza Miranda. And I could clearly remember, hindi siya nahiya. He was selling flowers for All Souls Day. And I really saw the humility in him. Hindi siya nahiya. My aunties would sell boiled bananas, yung saba. They were studying College of Holy Spirit, and they would, sell bananas, boiled bananas. And so I said, wow, this is something good. Kaya nga sabi ko pala, pagiging entrepreneur, you have to be humble, as what Ferdinand said, no? You have to roll up your sleeves. And that's the reason why when I started working, I said I will undergo a lot of experience. So I went as far as facing the challenges in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, wherein I had to grow my mustache. And I told my American boss, I said, why will I grow a mustache? you know. And my American boss said, "Oh, in Saudi Arabia, you better watch your back." I said, "What back?" You know what you mean. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You know? But you have to, I guess one of the things is you have to build up your core values, the influences of your family. And that is where you are. And you try to influence people and try to create corporate social responsibility. My
Mm-hmm.
my mantra is always CSR. Whenever I handle a mentee, a client, I always say, how can I make this guy put up a corporate social responsibility? Because you have to help others. Being an entrepreneur means you cannot earn just for yourself. You have to earn with others and for the others and for also for the country. And that's the reason why we take pains in bringing Filipino brands to the US and other countries, simply because we want to say, hey, the Filipinos are not just meant to export human beings, and
Mm-hmm.
we are also here to raise the flag as entrepreneurs. And I guess slowly but surely we're making waves. It's just like Hidalin. I mean, Hidalin. Who would ever say that she, and also sila Paalam and Pertech, the other boxer. It's really painstaking. But that's how entrepreneurship, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
I am doing. For the last 30 years, I always enjoy helping a lot of people. So that's my take. We don't have our own business is actually this one. It's a husband and wife, and how the husband and wife can work together. It's probably one of the best secrets I can always share with a lot of people. 'Di ba? Kasi sometimes, lalo ngayong pandemic, naku, sabi ng mga tao, I cannot stand my husband being here because makulit. But that's how love is.
Yes, and that's something that we can talk about in another episode, right? It's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, right.
relationships behind franchises, the husband and wife relationship behind franchises. And do you have anything to say to our younger generation?
Yeah, younger like me.
Yes,
Yeah.
like Kuya Ed.
Yeah.
I think the young generation now, Mick and Kuya Ed and Eric and Ferdinand, is that the young generation are so amazing. They can think fast, fast and out of the box. Sometimes I have to keep pace eh. Like, I mean, di ba yung mga bata, ang bibilis mag-isip niyan. Tsaka social media,
Mhm.
mabilis na, hindi na kagaya nung araw na, teka, study paralysis, di ba? Ngayon, ang bibilis. Tsaka, kaya nga ang daming mga mayaman na mga bata ngayon eh. Kasi, imagine,
Mhm.
like e-games,
Right.
graphics. Grabe ngayon. But the only thing I always tell them, don't be impulsive. Hold on. Seek advice from I hate to say it, but senior people. Hindi ba yung bang seek advice because you cannot be impulsive, you cannot be impatient. One of the downside is that some people are the young people. If they cannot perfect it, they get so angry. Para
Right.
bang they need to perfect it. Hindi, relax, cool, chill.
Relax.
Ah, 'Di ba?
Chill ka lang.
Yun lang nakikita ko. But I guess beyond that, we will always look up to these young guys as being now capturing a lot of businesses, di
Mhm.
ba? So, yung mga milk tea ngayon, karamihan ng mga milk tea business ngayon dito sa Pilipinas, ang babata ng mga humahawak na mag-start, di ba? So, I don't know if there will be a milk tea that we will be bringing to the US, and I'm really challenging one of them right now because that's one of the best brands so far here in Manila.
Yes, and we do have the natural ingredients for that because we have sago and cassava in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
And there is a difference between sago and ano yun? Sago
Blackbird.
and boba. Yeah.
Boba.
Merong pagkakaiba yun. Yeah. And so Ferdinand and Eric, do you have anything to add?
With me,
So for me,
you want to
go
start,
ahead.
Eric?
Go
Huh?
ahead, go ahead. Well,
No. To me, mine is simple. I've always tell this same thing to my kids, so I'll tell the young people also, because I agree with everything that Butch was saying. But at the end of the day, with me, I believe that to when you're young, make as many mistakes, but not intentionally, of course. But don't be so hard on yourself when you do, because to me, I've seen too many people who are good and talented in what they do, and they have the capability. But sometimes what I find, for me personally, disturbing is they don't know what they want to do. So make that mistake. Do whatever you got to do to figure out what it is that your purpose and what you want to do out of life. Because once you figure that out, then life, I think, to me, will be a little bit easier. But sometimes people don't figure that out until they're really old already. But that's why it's so important that if you're going to do anything, you're going to pursue anything, whatever it may be, esports or anything that Butch said, which again, I completely agree. Make a mistake, figure it out, and then from there, you might just find the purpose. You might just find the thing that you're trying to do and should be doing for the rest of your life.
Yes, and Eric.
Yeah, my take on this is that I agree with both Bong and Sir Boots, no, in what they said. But my take on this is that the good thing about um, the new generation now is that yung para sa akin, malalakas ang loob nila eh. So that is something that is very difficult to teach, no? The entrepreneurs are actually risk takers. They should be risk takers because and otherwise, if you don't take the risk, then no one's. If you don't take that risk, then and then someone else would do it, diba? Someone else would take that risk for you. So pero para sa akin, I would give them advice. I always give this advice, no. When starting a business, always start small but aim big. So you must always temper this risk-taking behavior with, of course, some degree of caution. Medyo mag-iingat din at saka medyo pag-aaralan din po talaga. Let's not just jump into the water and then, you have to do the legwork. And that's where, people like Sir Boots and Bong, very para sa akin nga I'd like to add yung sa akin it's more of a sense of duty being a government official or government officer, but what I appreciate about Ferdinand and the Sir Boots, they do this on their own volition. They're private persons, no, pero lagi silang handang tumulong, and I saw this a number of times already. That's why I commend this two gentlemen here with us for their work and for helping our kababayans, our budding entrepreneurs.
Yes, and thank you so much for all of the knowledge that you've instilled in all of us. And thank you, Eric. Thank you, Ferdinand, and thank you, Sir Boots. And of course, thank you, Kuya Ed, for joining me tonight in our show.
Kita. Nandito lang ako. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
thank you for your moral support. Yes, and
for those golden nuggets.
yes, golden bars, di ba? Kasi marami tayong napulot na kaalaman ngayong gabi.
Hindi mabuhat eh.
O hindi nila, parang yan eh, yung anong tawag doon, yung kay Yamashita.
Yamashita Gold.
O, di ba? Yeah, nasa kanilang tatlo, yung Yamashita Gold. O, yan, di ba? Yeah, but thank you so much for being on our show, and we've certainly learned a lot from you. And so for those who are watching on Kumu, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, yes, we are on Twitch kasi millennial tayo, di ba? Yeah, so you can find Eric, ELNAR, and his team at the Philippine Department of Trade and Investment website. They do have a website. And you can also always go to the consulate's office and, look for Eric and his team, and, they'll surely help you out to find him. And so Ferdinand also has a YouTube. He has a podcast just like us, and his website is www.planet63.com. And of course, Sir Boots Bartolome, the fan guru himself, is on www.gmb.ph. Yes, and he can help you scale and expand your and multiply your business, right? And so thank you so much to the three of you. And just a reminder for everyone who's watching out there, tomorrow we are going to have, who are we having tomorrow? We have Miriam Price
Yun,
at
Miriam Price.
on Jam Sessions tomorrow. She's an R&B and hip hop artist, and it's her second time to be on our show. So that's very exciting. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Miriam Price. And we do have something that we're working on, something big for December. We're going to have a concert fundraiser with 5 artists locally here in LA and Hollywood. Yes, and so if you would like to support our show, we do have since it's a fundraiser, we're raising funds for the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles and a community church in Batangas who's helping um, stricken people who are stricken with COVID. And of course, we're going to be helping the SoCal Pinoy's Foundation, Bayanihan Foundation here in LA. And thank you so much to the three of you. And of course, Kuya Ed, thank you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock again at Nick Diaz Presents. Thank you,
Kudos to
everyone.
guys. Yes.
Good
My
night.
idol.
And good night, Kumu, also. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Wow.
Bye, everyone.
Keep safe. Bye-bye.